Hi. So this is the first video in a series of videos that I will be doing, and in these videos I will be talking about books that have uh, highlighted discrimination in the society in some form or the other. So let's start with something which is closer to home, something that has to do with India, and we are going to start talking about a not very widely known biography of this lady called Gangubai Hangal ji. She was a Hindustani musician, Hindustani classical musician from Karnataka, Dharwad, and the book is called A Life in Three Octaves. So she was born in a family of devadasis. Devadasis, as some of you might know, were women who were dedicated to the temple, devdasi, and their main task was to promote art, culture, music, and also to pray to the god. And they also received patronage from the kings or whoever the landlord was in that temple or in that area. So they were devoid of family responsibilities and they could freely indulge in their arts. Now, with time, what happened was there was exploitation of this system too. So a lot of these ladies were left to fend for themselves, and the Britishers came in. They started looking down upon this practice because in their opinion it was not morally correct. A lot of Indians joined in, and to the extent that in 1910 a law was passed which made devdasis illegal. Kind of a similar story to what happened to Tawayefs in North India. Anyway, let's come to Gangubai Hangal ji. So Gangubai Hangal ji was born in Karnataka. Now let's talk about Karnataka a little more. Karnataka has had brilliant rulers. Even if you go to Mysore today, you can see how just by the grandiosity of the Mysore palace, you can imagine how invested they were in art and culture. So it has been a melting pot of culture since long past, both North Indian and South Indian. So Carnatic music and his Hindustani music, that is the South Indian classical music and North Indian classical music, has both these forms have always flourished in Karnataka together, right? So Gangubai Hangal ji's mother was from the Devdasi community. Let us read out a chapter. Even then, the revered Hindustani musicians who made a stop at Dharwad never left without paying a visit to her. Here, the her is Gangubai ji's mother. In fact, each time Ustad Abdul Karim Khan attended a baithak at Ambabai's house, he never failed to say that he felt as if he had visited the abode of Saint Tyagaraja himself. Gangubai's first meeting with the founder of the Kirana Gharana was when he came to listen to her mother. So, a very, very highly respected, one of the legends of Hindustani music, Ustad Abdul Karim Khan Sahab, whenever he visited Dharwad, he would visit Gangubai ji's house first. Her mother was that talented singer, right? But what happened when the same singer went to give a performance in the house of the head of the village? There, Gangubai's mother could not enter because she belonged to a lower caste, right? And she was a devadasi. So despite being such a great singer and despite being respected for her art, whenever Gangubai's mother would be invited to a function, she could only eat after everybody else had eaten. The function started with Gangubai's mother's Ammabai ji sitting there and singing probably a kriti to Ganpati or a devotional song. But after the song, she had to be off stage and she had to sit and wait for her place because she belonged to a particular community and a particular caste. At that time, when most human musicians came from the class of professional singers belonging to the lower strata of hierarchical society, even though they were unmatched in artistry, they could not wipe out the marks of social stigma. In the royal courts, these women, who were as competent as the celebrated ustads, were expected to stand up and sing before the kings, right? So, because they did not have a husband, and here is an even more interesting fact, it was socially accepted that a person from a higher caste, usually Brahmins or people from that strata of society, could have another wife in today's term we would probably call it a mistress, but they could legally, not legally, but socially, they could have another wife from the Devadasi community, and they would provide for her and they would take care of her, and they could even have children with her. But the woman could not be elevated out of her social strata. So these are startling examples of how weird caste is, because even though you are born in the same place, it differentiates between you and your neighbor because of your lineage. You might have gone to the same school, you might have studied the same thing, you might be practicing the same profession, but you cannot come inside his or her house and drink a glass of water. I mean, today you can, but in some era gone by, you could not. So these examples kind of pull our society into different polar regions, and we will talk more about how caste has affected music, taking examples of more musicians in the future. Thank you.